Renee and Giovanni. Renee, last week you were working on a repossession case involving Miss Smith. Why don't you tell us about the facts of that case?
Okay, well, Miss Smith went to the mechanic and she had some work done, particularly on her brakes. And they agreed to an installment payment contract. So she went in to make a second payment and they accepted it, and before she left she talked to the manager there and he agreed to a payment a week later, which would be the next Friday. And come Wednesday morning she woke up, her car was gone. Turns out that this mechanic had repossessed the vehicle. So now, and then she had to pay them for the repossession fee, the storage fee, towing fee, things like that in order to get back her car. So she came to us because she felt that, you know, they didn't have a right to repossess the vehicle because she didn't default on any of the payments, and also she has some brake claims that the brakes weren't up to par.
Okay, so what does Miss Smith want from us? What does she want out of this ultimately?
Well, she really wants money. She wants back, at minimum, the repossession fee and the bus fare that she had to pay in order to get around the days that she didn't have her car. And she's also just wants the mechanic to know that, you know, what they did was wrong and that they can't do things like that.
Okay, so she wants money and she wants to stick it to the mechanic and let him know that he was wrong. Okay, well here's what I think our game plan should be. The first thing you're going to want to do, and both of you should probably write this down, the first thing that we'll want to do is to research the legal claims that we might have against the mechanic. So based on what you said, it sounds like we might have a claim for an oral misrepresentation based on an oral contract possibly. So I think that you might be able to find some good Maryland case law on that. Start, of course, with the secondary sources and see what you can dig up there. We might also have some claims, some consumer protection claims. So I actually have a pretty good treatise here, and I'll give it to you after the session that you can look in and see if there's any authority there that might be helpful for us. So once we've done the legal research, I think those are our two primary areas. And so once you actually finish that research, why don't you come back to me and let me know what you found, and then we'll talk about it more and see if we can expand upon what you found or if there are other claims that we can explore. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay. And so do the legal research, and then I think our next step should be to call the mechanic, and we'll want to talk to him about the situation with our client. But of course we'll need to ascertain whether or not his company is represented by legal counsel. Explain that this is a conversation that could ultimately result in a lawsuit being filed. So we want to try and work it out with him first, but if we can't, we are willing and prepared to file a lawsuit. And so once you talk to him, figure out what his position is, why don't you again come back to me and we'll talk about it a little bit further. But step 3, I think, is we are going to, if he's not willing to compromise or give our client what she wants, we'll want to send him a demand letter which will memorialize the conversation we had and also let him know that we're ready to sue. So I actually have a copy of a demand letter that we filed in a previous case, or sent in a previous case last semester. So why don't you take a look at this? This will be a good start for you. So what I also like to do, or think we should do here with the demand letter, is we should also be prepared to send a courtesy copy of the complaint that we intend to file along with the demand letter to let him know. We'll give him a time period within the demand letter that he has to either pay up or else we're going to file the complaint. I like to usually give a week. I think a week is sufficient time. So also I have a copy of a complaint I think that also covers some consumer protection claims that might also be helpful depending on what your research finds. Okay. So as we discussed, your steps are going to be to conduct the legal research we talked about, and then you will call the manager, of course, and ascertain whether he has legal counsel, figure out whether you should be talking to him, and what his position, if you can talk to him, what his position is with respect to our client's claims. If you can't talk to him, figure out who the legal counsel is or who the appropriate person to talk to is, and then talk to them also, and see whether or not, what their position is and whether or not they're willing to settle. And then if not, we'll go to step 3, which is to file the demand letter, and we'll also have the complaint ready to attach to the demand letter. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
You guys have any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, now